Welcome to Make a Path Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about Dead City. We're going to stay spoiler free. Originally, the plan was we were going to have an after show immediately after this aired at 10 o'clock, because this is going to air Sunday at 9 p.m. It's available on AMC Plus now if you want to check it out, but we're going to have an after show. I was getting a lot of people messaging me asking my thoughts and opinions, because a lot of people in the fan base or they at least share some of the complaints that I have of the franchise as a whole. So if I end up liking an episode, there's a really good chance that they're going to like it as well. So a lot of people hit me up asking me my thoughts and opinions, and I thought, let's do a spoiler free, and I'll lean you one direction or the other. I think you should check it out for sure. In my opinion, it's one of the better things that the Walking Dead franchise has done in years. I know people can talk about the finale, and I think that's just everything that was involved with your main show coming to an end, because if you distill the Walking Dead franchise down as either good or bad, the finale, the majority of the episodes the past few years have just been bad. Then you have Tales of the Walking Dead, bad. Fear of the Walking Dead, bad. What else? World Beyond, bad. Now, Fear, we're going to discuss that in another video, just because they're ending something with a character we've been following for years, and they did something in the finale that had me laughing and it was a serious scene. It had me laughing so hard, I had to actually pause the damn show just to take a moment, get my composure, and then dive back into it, because it was so utterly ridiculous. I will clip it, and in my video, I will show you, because it is just friggin' hilarious. Now, let's dive into Dead City. I fell victim to overhyping, unfortunately. However, it's still positive. I give this a higher rating for sure. I think, unfortunately, even though it's definitely solid, good, it's more on the positive side, some of the overhyping got me, and the episode doesn't really, for me, have any of that. It doesn't really have like this wow factor where it's like, okay, I, have now re-fallen in love with The Walking Dead, or it's not an episode I'm going to be like, man, I need to watch the premiere again. That was just insane fire. It's a good start, though. It's a good start that had me entertained. It was nice seeing Negan and Maggie again. However, the biggest thing is it gives me hope for what's coming next. So yes, I would lean in on recommending you definitely check it out soon too. You could wait until they're all out and binge them, but if you're looking for something to watch in the Walking Dead world, even if you're a zombie fan, definitely check it out. The intro itself reminds me of old school Romero, Dawn of the Dead, even Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. It has this feel to it, especially with how they filmed a certain scene. I tried to show, let me show you like some of the imagery here. It has this like 70s, classic zombie genre feel to it. But going back to the overhyping though, your brain kind of plays a trick on you where you hear something like fans talking about, fans and journalists talking about like the cockroach scene, and I mean, it's gross, but taper your expectations, because I pictured like Negan and Maggie army crawling through like 3 feet of cockroaches while fighting off zombies, and like you got zombie pus and guts and like all this like it's raining cockroaches as they're crawling through. Like I just pictured the nastiest of nastiest shit, and it's a super quick scene. It's still gross. If you see it for the first time without anyone saying anything about it, you'd probably be like, oh, that's nasty. But it's my brain just really hyped it up more than it should be. And that's not the show's fault. I mean, that happens when you get overly excited. So, like I said, though, I want to I don't want to drag the show from me having higher expectations in that regard, just because my brain ran away. But I will say, getting to the glue of what holds it together, that's very important in storytelling, because you have to look at Negan and Maggie, characters that are enemies, till the day they die, they should remain enemies. However, why are they together? Does it work for the story? And honestly, it's just like they're together. As far as like being a pair in a show together, they just are. It's simple. They get it over with, and it doesn't have a lot of oomph to it. There is one thing I'm questioning a little bit, and that is one of the younger girl that Negan is seen in the trailer with, where he's escorting her. We see her in more areas of the trailer that I don't know how I feel about that coming up. It's a little too predictable. They have this aspect where, oh no, she saw something so terrible. She hasn't spoken in years, and we've gotten that in TV and movies a lot. That was a bit of like a. It's not bad, but it's like, oh, we're doing this again, and we know later she's gonna end up saying something. And it's gonna be like, oh, But we've gotten that before a ton. Anyhow, and then you have the other glue, which is like Negan and Maggie are Indiana Jones running through a booby-trapped, Temple of Doom. But then you got the ball that falls down, and it's the giant rock, and it's going to roll and crush them, and that's the bounty hunter. So that is kind of what chases them into. You have the unknown in front of them, their mission. Negan and Maggie running along, getting their mission, and then the bounty hunter ball behind them. And even that, and I can't wait to talk about this on Sunday, because I really thought they were going to add something that was from the old Walking Dead to the bounty hunter story, and they didn't, but it's there. I mean, and it would have been so friggin' awesome, but again, as far as the glue, it's simple. Bounty hunter's looking for Negan. You saw the trailer, that's what it is, and that's what I mean by it doesn't have a lot of wow factor with some of the finer details, because it's simply, yes, bounty hunter's looking for Negan. He did something bad. That's it. Now, we might get reveals later where things aren't what they seem to be, but at least for the Negan and Maggie, that seems to be clear cut right from the beginning. One thing I did like, though, is Maggie actually has to fight. This isn't like the original show where Rosita fights a guy that's twice her weight, way taller than her, way stronger than her, and she's on her back, remember? And she uses one hand to throw this guy totally off of her, which, if you know anything about anything, it's physically impossible. It's just so physically impossible. It was utterly ridiculous. Well, and that breaks the immersion. It looks real stupid. But in this, Maggie actually has to fight. When she gets hit, it hurts. When she gets pinned, she gets pinned. She has to come up with clever ways to get out of it. One thing I liked, which is a pro, but also you don't see anywhere near enough of it, is Maggie has like weapons in her outfit. She has, I think the one thing we've seen in the trailer where she's got like a boot knife, and it reminded me of old Jean-Claude Van Damme like fight movies, but still, you would see that this far into the apocalypse. You would see a ton of that when people travel, when they're just as survivors. They would have layers. Why? Because it's hot in the day, cold at night. They would have extra stuff to help, cook food, prepare food, stuff to help scavenge. Like, they would have equipment. They would have an equipment bag for cutting chains or doing this and this and that, making fire. The characters have nothing. They don't have any armor, not even a little bit. I mean, Negan's rolling around in jeans and a tank top, and the one girl gets cold, and you're thinking like, why are you guys not jammed up with materials? Now, I think in the one moment they were running away, so sure, maybe they didn't take all their equipment, but even still, you would have some. You'd have a go bag where you'd have, anything. And this is one thing that The Walking Dead totally butchers. It is as if these people are living a perfectly normal life off screen, and the moment they enter the screen, they're suddenly in the zombie apocalypse, and they're so ill prepared. That's one big con that I want the show to just stop, because it will help tremendously if they just knock it off and start having people living like they're actually in the apocalypse. The only time they do it is when they want people to look cool, and like, oh, he's got a biker helmet with a bunch of razors on it. Well, I don't know. Why doesn't Maggie have something where, her armor has some sort of razor knife in her thing, so you get one moment where someone tackles her, and the guy's like, holy shit, because he got sliced up. Add anything. Anyhow, another moment, too, that The Walking Dead needs to knock it off. The ninja zombies. They have a freaking ninja walker in this episode. And here's the problem with filming it. It got through the writer, it got through the director, it got through the editor, and they could have fixed it at the writer, they could have fixed it at the director, they could have fixed it at the editing by inserting stuff that wouldn't have made them so Ninja Walker-like, instead of just simply, oh, that zombie doesn't make noise. Anyhow, they should make a placard, and they should have like the 10 commandments of making zombie movies. No quiet zombies should be at the friggin' top of the list. They did that once. It was really dumb. The villain, the main villain, the bounty hunter has some some promise to him. We don't know if he's a main villain. I mean, he came off as a villain, but the main villain, totally no intimidation factor. I'm waiting for more. I think that Herschel, though, has only like one little line, but there's a lot of promise. There's a good amount of charisma the actor had. It's only one little line, so it could go very good for the rest of the series, or it could just go very wrong, and it was a fluke. But I will say, he had a lot of charisma in that one little moment. I think the director failed him, though, because it's the usual where it's like, oh, act nervous, so you got to hyperventilate and do all this. It's like, okay, calm down. There's not enough subtlety in some of what they do. They just simply get on set and they're like, or at least that's how it looks. They get on set and they're like, all right, breathe real fast. Oh, you're nervous. Instead of having the actor actually represent, okay, oh, look at that. He looks a little confident. He's got some confidence. And then the guy pulls out a wicked knife and you can see that confidence slowly melt away. There's no subtlety. It's just hyperventilating. There's a lot of that all throughout here. Within the Walking Dead world as a whole, but I will say the gore, there's gore, the zombies, there's cool scenes, there's cool utilization of that sounded way more bigger of a word than it needed to be, but they utilize the landscape great. There's moments where I don't want to give it away, but there's moments where some zombies kind of like appear organically, and I think it looks great. It's got a haunting feel to it. If it was filmed a little more like a horror movie, it probably would have been like a really creepy looking scene. They could actually play around with horror really, really good with this environment. Depending on how they do the scenes. But as you can see here, like, you get buses stacked up. This is something we saw in the trailer. I tried to pick clips that were in the trailer that weren't spoilers, but we do see a lot of reliance. Now, this is common with all movies and TV that are expensive to film, but the travel shots usually have the best friggin' atmosphere look to it, because then, they don't say anything. You don't have to refilm. Good take, bad take, did they forget their lines? They're just simply traveling, no one says anything, and you get like a really cool landscape shot. They are using that to a degree, but I don't think they overused it or killed it in this. I'm going to go back to this. Picture's friggin' badass. I love that. I'm going to make that the thumbnail, I think. How would I separate that? It doesn't matter. I'll have to say the app sucks, though. One last thing as a negative. AMC, your app is trash. If anyone for any reason has to pause, or if they want to rewind, especially if they're like, yo, that was funny as shit, let me rewind that, the app just goes on the fritz quickly. One or two rewinds and pauses, and the app acts like a little bitch. Anyhow, I'm positive for this. I can't wait to hang out with you guys Sunday night, and we'll talk about it. We have a 10-year anniversary stream coming up probably tomorrow, so look out for that. That's going to be explaining some of the stuff we have coming up for the next 10 years. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, I wanted to highlight some of the negatives that were bummers, but I do want to not spoil some of the stuff that I really did like. So even though I want to make that clear, we covered some of the negatives. This is definitely one of the better episodes in years. So check it out if you haven't checked it out, and then stop by Sunday around 10 o'clock. We're going to kick it off for a Dead City after show stream. All right, guys, thank you very much. Leave your thoughts and opinions, what you thought if you've already seen Dead City. Put them in the comment box. I'm done talking. It's your turn.